Chosen one, you've been feeling different lately, haven't you? This is why. You try to ignore it. You try to act normal. But deep down, something has shifted. The silence feels louder. The connections feel weaker. And the people who once felt close now feel distant. It's not your imagination. It's not overthinking. It's a transformation. And here's the truth no one told you. They secretly miss you more than ever. The moment you changed, everything changed. There was a version of you they were comfortable with. A version that stayed quiet. A version that didn't question, didn't awaken, didn't rise. But that version of you is gone now. You started seeing through the illusions. You started protecting your energy. You stopped chasing people who couldn't see your worth. And that's when everything shifted. Because when a chosen one evolves, everyone connected to their old version feels it. They felt your silence before you even spoke. You didn't need to announce your change. You didn't need to explain your distance. Your energy spoke for you. The late replies, the boundaries, the sudden peace you chose over chaos. They noticed, and even if they don't say it out loud, they feel your absence in ways they never expected. They miss the access they once had. It's not just you they miss. It's the access. The way you were always there. The way you listened. The way you gave without limits. You were their safe place, while they were never yours. Now that access is gone, and they don't know how to deal with it. You were never too much, you were just unmatched. They called you intense. They said you changed. They made you feel like you were the problem. But the truth is, you were operating at a level they couldn't understand. Your depth scared them. Your awareness exposed them. Your growth outgrew them. And now, they miss what they once took for granted. Your energy was rare, and they knew it. You carried something different. Something they couldn't explain. A presence. A light. A truth. Even when they didn't appreciate it. They felt it. And now that it's gone, they're searching for it in everyone else. But they won't find it. Because what you had was never ordinary. They thought you would always stay the same. They believed you would always be there. Always forgiving. Always understanding. They underestimated your awakening. They didn't realize that once a chosen one sees the truth, there's no going back. Now they're stuck with memories of a version of you that no longer exists. Distance was your protection, not your punishment. You didn't leave to hurt them. You left to save yourself, to protect your peace, to heal your soul, to reconnect with your purpose. But from their perspective, it feels like loss. It feels like emptiness. It feels like something they can't replace. They're watching you, even in silence. Don't think they forgot about you. They're watching, quietly, from a distance, checking your growth, noticing your glow, feeling your absence. And every time they see you rising, they feel it even more. Your glow hits different now. There's something about you now. You're calmer, stronger, more aligned. You don't chase. You don't beg. You don't settle. And that energy is something they're not used to. It attracts, but it also intimidates. They miss the version of you that tolerated them. Let's be real. They don't just miss you. They miss the version of you that tolerated their behavior. The version that stayed quiet. The version that accepted less. But that version is gone. And deep down, they know they can't access that part of you anymore. You became someone they can't control. That's what really changed everything. You stopped being predictable. You stopped being available. You stopped being easy to manipulate. Now you move with awareness, with intention, with power, and that's something they don't know how to handle. Your absence became their lesson. You walking away wasn't just an ending. It was a lesson in value, a lesson in loss, a lesson in what happens when you take a chosen one for granted. And now, they're learning it the hard way. You were the light in their darkness. You brought clarity into their confusion, peace into their chaos, truth into their illusions. But they didn't recognize it at the time. Now that the light is gone, they're left facing their own darkness. And it's uncomfortable. They feel the void you left behind. No one laughs like you. No one understands like you. No one carries energy like you. And they feel it. In the quiet moments. In the empty spaces. In the absence of your presence. That void is your impact. You didn't lose them, they lost you. Let that sink in. You didn't lose anything. You gained clarity. You gained strength. You gained yourself. But they lost someone who was real. Someone who was loyal. Someone who was rare. And deep down, they know it. You outgrew what once felt like home. It's painful, because at one point, they meant everything to you. But growth requires separation, and evolution requires release. You didn't just walk away. You leveled up. They miss you, but they won't admit it. Ego won't let them. Pride keeps them silent. But energy doesn't lie. You can feel it. That pull. That unspoken connection. Because even in distance, some bonds leave a mark. You were part of their awakening too. Here's something deeper. You weren't just evolving alone. Your presence triggered something in them too. You made them question things. You made them feel things. You made them see things. And now that you're gone, they're left processing it all. You didn't abandon them, you chose yourself. And that's the hardest thing for people to accept. Because most people never have the courage to do it. You broke the cycle. You chose your peace. You honored your soul. And that kind of strength is rare. Your energy is no longer available for misuse. You've changed, not in a negative way, but in a powerful way. You no longer give freely to those who drain you. You no longer entertain what doesn't align. And because of that, your energy has become sacred. They remember you in moments you don't even know. Random thoughts, random memories, random emotions. You cross their mind more than you think. Because real connections don't disappear easily. You were a mirror they could handle. You reflected truth. You exposed patterns. You revealed things they weren't ready to face. And instead of growing, they pulled away. But now, they miss the clarity you brought. You walked away, and that was your power move. Most people stay. They tolerate. They settle. They shrink. But you didn't. You chose growth over comfort, truth over illusion, peace over attachment. And that decision changed everything. Your presence was a gift not everyone deserves. You gave love. You gave time. You gave energy. And not everyone was worthy of that. Now you're more selective, more aware, more aligned. And that's exactly how it should be. Chosen one, this is your confirmation. If you've been feeling this shift, this distance, this transformation, it's real. You're not losing people. You're outgrowing them. And yes, they miss you. But your journey is bigger than their comfort. You were meant for more. More peace. More purpose. More alignment. You weren't meant to stay stuck. You weren't meant to stay small. You were meant to rise. And that's exactly what you're doing. Now it's your turn to step fully into your power. Don't go back. Don't shrink. Don't question your growth. You've come too far. You've seen too much. You've awakened for a reason. So stand in your truth. Protect your energy. And keep moving forward. And if this message resonated with your soul, make sure you like this video, subscribe to Chosen Wave, and drop a comment below. Do you feel them missing you, even in silence? They thought you would come back, but you did. They were sure of it. They thought your silence was temporary. They thought your distance was a phase. They thought eventually you would return, because you always did before. But this time was different. This time, you chose yourself for real. And that's what shocked them the most. You broke the pattern they relied on. They were used to cycles. Hurt, then apology. Distance, then return. Confusion, then reconnection. But you ended the cycle. No more second chances. No more explaining yourself. No more abandoning your peace. And now they're stuck in a loop without you. Your absence feels louder than your presence ever did. It's strange, isn't it? When you were there, they didn't fully value you. But now that you're gone, your absence echoes in conversations that feel empty, in moments that feel incomplete, in energy that just doesn't match yours. That silence you left behind speaks volumes. They didn't realize your worth until you withdrew it. You gave so much. It became normal to them. Your kindness, your understanding, your presence, they thought it would always be there. But when you pulled it back, that's when realization hit. Too late but powerful. You were their peace, even if they were your chaos. You calmed storms they never told you about. You carried emotions they never expressed. You gave stability they didn't even recognize. But in return, they gave confusion. They gave inconsistency. They gave imbalance. Now without you, they feel the difference. They're trying to replace you, but it's not working. They've tried. Talking to new people. Building new connections. Filling the space you left. But something feels off. Because what you brought wasn't common. And deep down, they know it. They miss the real you, not the mask you dropped. You were authentic. Even when it hurt. Even when it wasn't easy. Even when they didn't understand. And now, they're surrounded by surface-level connections. No depth. No truth. No realness. That's what they miss the most. You were an experience, not just a person. You weren't just someone in their life. You were a feeling, a presence, a shift. Being around you changed something inside them. And now that you're gone, they feel that missing piece. Your energy was healing, and they took it lightly. You healed parts of them silently. Through your words. Through your presence. through your understanding. But they didn't acknowledge it. They didn't appreciate it. Now, without that healing energy, they feel exposed. They miss the way you understood without explanation. You just knew, without them saying much, without them explaining everything, without them asking. That kind of connection is rare, and now they're struggling to find it again. You were never replaceable, just undervalued. Let's make this clear. You were never easy to replace. You were never ordinary. You were never just another person. You were undervalued. And there's a difference. Now, they're realizing it. They feel your growth from a distance. Energy doesn't need proximity. They can feel your shift, your elevation, your transformation, even without speaking to you. And every time you level up, they feel the gap getting bigger. You became everything they said you couldn't be. Remember when they doubted you, when they underestimated you, when they made you feel small. Look at you now, stronger, wiser, unstoppable. And now, they're watching you become everything they never believed in. Your silence became your power. You stopped explaining. You stopped reacting. You stopped proving. And in that silence, you found power. Because not everyone deserves access to your voice. Sometimes, your absence says everything. They miss you, but they don't deserve the new you. That's the truth. They miss your energy. They miss your presence. They miss your love. But the version of you now is evolved. Stronger boundaries, higher standards, deeper awareness. And not everyone gets access to that version. You were their comfort zone, now you're their lesson. Before you were easy. Now you're a memory. A lesson about value. A lesson about loss. A lesson about what happens when you don't appreciate real energy. And lessons like that stay forever. They're learning about you through your absence. Sometimes people don't understand your worth until you're gone, until they feel your absence, until they face the emptiness, until they realize what they lost. And now, they're learning. Without you there to guide them. You didn't just walk away, you elevated. This wasn't just distance. This was transformation. You leveled up mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And that kind of growth creates separation. Not everyone can come with you. They miss the energy you had before you awakened, before you set boundaries, before you saw the truth, before you chose yourself. But that version of you was still learning, still growing, still awakening. And now that you've evolved, you can't go back. You became unreachable in the best way. Not physically, but energetically. Your standards are higher. Your awareness is sharper. Your peace is protected. And because of that, not everyone can reach you anymore. They feel your detachment, and it confuses them. You're not angry. You're not bitter. You're just detached. And that confuses them. Because they expected reactions. They expected emotions. They expected access. But instead, they got silence. And that silence hits deeper than anything else. You stopped explaining yourself, and that changed everything. There was a time you over-explained. You tried to make them understand. You tried to fix misunderstandings. You tried to keep the connection alive. But now, you don't. You realized the right people don't need constant explanations, and the wrong ones will never understand anyway. They miss the version of you that fought for them. You used to fight for the connection, even when it drained you, even when it hurt you, even when it cost your peace. But now, you don't fight anymore. You choose alignment. You choose ease. You choose yourself. And that shift is something they feel deeply. Your energy no longer begs, it attracts. Before you chased clarity, now you attract it. Before you question your worth, now you embody it. Before you settled, now you select. And that transformation makes you magnetic, even to those who lost you. They miss the way you made them feel about themselves. It wasn't just about you. It was about how you made them feel. Seen, heard, important. You gave them a version of themselves they don't feel anymore. And now, they're missing that reflection. You were their emotional safe place without realizing. They leaned on you for comfort, for understanding, for emotional stability, even when they didn't say it. And now without you, they feel the imbalance, because not everyone can hold space like you did. You didn't become cold, you became clear. Let's correct this. You didn't lose your heart. You didn't become distant for no reason. You became clear. Clear about your worth. Clear about your boundaries. Clear about what you deserve. And clarity changes everything. They miss the old access, but not the responsibility. They want your presence, but not the accountability. They want your energy, but not the growth required to keep it. And that's why things had to end, because you evolved, and they didn't match it. You were giving from a full heart, they were receiving casually. You were intentional, with your love, with your time, with your energy, but they treated it like it was normal, like it was guaranteed, like it would never run out, until it did. Now they realize what effort actually looks like. You made things feel easy, too easy, because your heart was genuine. Your intentions were pure. Your presence was real. Now without you, they see how rare that effort was, because not everyone gives like you. You walked away without closure, and that haunts them. You didn't argue. You didn't beg. You didn't create drama. You just left. And sometimes, that kind of ending hits the hardest, because there are no final words, no clear answers, just silence. They replay conversations, trying to understand. Moments, words, memories. They go back, trying to figure out where things changed, what they missed, what they didn't see, what they took for granted. But the truth is, they understand now, just too late. You became the one that got away, not because you disappeared, but because you evolved. You didn't settle. You didn't stay stuck. You didn't ignore your awakening. And now, you're the one they think about, the one they compare others to, the one they can't replace. They miss your loyalty the most. In a world full of temporary people, you were solid. You stayed. You supported. You remained real. And loyalty like that is rare. Now that it's gone, they feel the difference. You were consistent, and that's what made you different. You didn't switch up. You didn't play games. You didn't disappear randomly. You were consistent. And that kind of energy is hard to find. Now they're dealing with inconsistency and realizing your value. They took your presence as comfort, not as a blessing. That's where they went wrong. They got comfortable. They stopped appreciating. They stopped recognizing. They stopped valuing. And comfort can blind people until it's gone. You did change suddenly. You just stopped tolerating. Your change wasn't random. It was built over time, through disappointment, through realization, through awakening. You didn't wake up one day different. You woke up one day done. They feel the energy shift, even without contact. No messages, no calls, no interaction. But still, they feel it. Because energy doesn't need communication. It just needs connection. And what you had was real. You were their peace, and now they feel the noise. Without you, everything feels louder, more chaotic, more confusing, more draining, because you brought balance. And now, they feel the absence of it. They miss your presence in ways words can't explain. It's not something they can easily say. It's not something they fully understand. But they feel it. In random moments. In quiet nights. In unexpected thoughts. You cross their mind. More than you think. You became a memory that feels alive. You're not just in their past. You're in their present thoughts, in their emotions, in their reflections, in their realizations. Because real connections don't fade easily. They did lose you overnight. They lost you gradually, piece by piece, through actions, through neglect, through lack of awareness, until one day, you were gone. And now, they're feeling the full weight of it. You gave them chances, they just didn't see it. You were patient, more than you should have been. You gave opportunities. You gave understanding. You gave time. But they didn't recognize it. Now, they wish they had. They miss the way you loved, not just you. Your love was different. Deeper. Real. Unconditional in ways they didn't expect. And now, they're realizing, not everyone loves like that. You were a once-in-a-lifetime energy. Not everyone carries what you carry. Not everyone loves how you love. Not everyone sees how you see. You were rare. And now, they understand that. Through your absence, you became untouchable because you chose yourself. Not in ego, but in growth. You chose healing. You chose peace. You chose alignment. And that choice elevated you to a level not everyone can reach anymore. They didn't expect you to detach this deeply. They thought you would miss them louder. They thought you would reach out eventually. They thought your feelings would pull you back. But they didn't understand one thing. When a chosen one detaches, it's not temporary. It's soul level. And once that switch flips, there's no returning to who you used to be. You didn't just let go, you let it die. You didn't keep a door open. You didn't leave room for maybe someday. You didn't hold onto false hope. You let it end. Completely. Silently. Powerfully. And that kind of closure is something they never saw coming. They feel you slipping further away every day. Time isn't fixing this. It's making it more real. Every day without you, makes your absence heavier, because they can feel it. You're not coming back. Not this time. You healed in silence while they stayed the same. While they were distracted, you were transforming. You were doing the inner work, facing your shadows, rebuilding yourself. And now, you're not the same person they once knew. That version of you doesn't exist anymore. They miss you, but they can't reach you energetically. Even if they tried, something feels blocked. Not because you hate them, not because you're angry, but because you've outgrown the frequency. Your energy shifted, and now they can't meet you where you are. You became emotionally independent, and that changed everything. You stopped needing validation. You stopped seeking approval. You stopped relying on others for peace. You found it within. And that kind of independence creates distance, because not everyone is ready for that level of self-awareness. They miss being needed by you. Before, you needed them. Emotionally, mentally, energetically. Now, you don't. And that shift is uncomfortable for them, because they lost a role in your life. You were their habit, now you're their absence. They were used to you. Your messages, your presence, your consistency. You became part of their routine. And now without you, there's a gap, a silence, an absence they didn't prepare for. They thought you were replaceable until they tried. That's when reality hit. They tried to find your energy elsewhere. They tried to recreate what you had. They tried to move on quickly. But something always felt missing. Because you weren't replaceable, just unappreciated. You left without creating chaos, and that confused them. No drama, no fighting, no emotional explosion. Just peace, just distance, just silence. And sometimes, that's harder to process than conflict, because there's nothing to blame, only something to feel. They miss the emotional depth you brought. You weren't surface level. You went deep. In conversations, in connections, in emotions. And now, they're surrounded by shallow interactions. And it doesn't feel the same. You became someone who can walk away without looking back. That's growth. Not everyone can do that. To love deeply and still leave when it's not right. To care, but not stay where you're not valued. That strength is rare. They miss your energy more than your words. It's not about what you said. It's about how you felt. Your presence, your vibe, your aura. That's what they're missing. Because energy like yours can't be faked. You were the calm they didn't know they needed. In their chaos, you were peace. In their confusion, you were clarity. In their instability, you were grounding. Now without you, they feel the imbalance. They're realizing you were never the problem. At first, it was easy to blame you, to misunderstand you, to label you as too much. But now, with distance and time, clarity is hitting. You weren't the issue. You were the lesson. Chosen one. If this message found you, it wasn't by accident. This is your confirmation. You didn't lose them, you outgrew them. You didn't fall apart, you awakened. Everything you felt was real. Everything you walked away from was necessary. And everything you're becoming is powerful. So don't you dare go back to what broke you. Don't you dare shrink just to be accepted again. You've come too far to return to a version of you that no longer exists. Stand in your truth. Protect your energy. And keep rising, no matter who misses you. Now I want to hear from you. Do you feel their energy missing you, even in silence? If this spoke to your soul, hit like, subscribe to Chosen Wave, and comment, "I choose myself," to lock in your power and declare your awakening.